I'm Scott Kelly, commander of the International Space Station, and you're watching NASA Television.
Good morning and welcome to Mission Control Houston for the ISS update, or the International Space Station update, for coverage of the Expedition 26 mission aboard the space station. We're here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, where the team is monitoring systems on board the station, working with teams around the world. The team here is led by Flight Director Kwatsi Ali-Barujo on the right, and seated next to him is Hal Getzelman, who is serving as the spacecraft communicator, or CAPCOM, today, to be the liaison and discuss topics with the crew on board the space station for the mission control team. The crew members on board the space station are Commander Astronaut Scott Kelly and flight engineers and cosmonauts Alexander Kaleri and Oleg Skripochka. The crew members are working through the early afternoon of their day on board the station. They work on a schedule where they awaken at about midnight Central Time and go to sleep at 3:30 p.m. Central Time. This is a view on the outside of the International Space Station, showing part of the space station robotics system, the special purpose dexterous manipulator.
So I switched on number 60. It is working nominally, so the noise is not very low. It's very high. I think number 2 also can be switched on. Alexander, yes. Put the second one, which, as you said, has number 67 on it. Where should I put it? Instead of number 60. And also evaluate it as to the noise level. Oh, copy that. Switch it on and to compare. Copy that. And the one that is the lowest, has the lowest noise, then that one we will install. Copy that.
There we hear a conversation with the crew members on board the station with Mission Control Moscow. That team is located in Korolev, just outside of Moscow in Russia. The cosmonauts are working on various activities with maintenance in the Russian segment and work associated with the visiting vehicles. Skripochka is scheduled to be filling water tanks from water that was brought to the station aboard a Progress cargo vehicle. And Kaleri is scheduled to be conducting some troubleshooting with the Vozduk system. The Vozduk is one of the pieces of hardware on board the space station that works on scrubbing the air aboard the complex, taking out the carbon dioxide and making it breathable air for the station crew members. That works in conjunction with hardware on the U.S. segment of the station called the CDRAs, the carbon dioxide removal assemblies. That Vozduk hardware experienced a failure over the weekend, so the crew members on board the station are working with Mission Control Moscow to check through the system to see what component exactly had failed so that that can be brought back online.
ISS on SG-1 on vacuum pump. Go ahead.
The carbon dioxide removal assembly on the U.S. segment is working well to keep the air maintained on board the station, especially with only 3 crew members at the moment, until that Vozduk is repaired.
Strange sound, and number 60 is only the pump part of it is working. Alexander, okay, let's install number 60 then. Copy that, will do.
Scott, we're private on call 4 for your conference.
Right now here in Mission Control Houston, the team was setting up one of the audio channels for astronaut Scott Kelly to speak privately with his flight surgeon here on the ground. That is done periodically for the crew members to keep in touch with the medical team here in Mission Control. As we look at this view on the outside of the International Space Station, the complex is orbiting at an altitude of 192 nautical miles, or about 220 statute miles, off the west of the United States over the Pacific Ocean. Inside the space station, Commander Scott Kelly has been working with some activities related to the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, one of the partners devoted to the International Space Station. Two of those activities focus on science experiments and visiting cargo vehicles.
Alexander, you don't have to answer, just a reminder that when you connect Car9 cable, we do this after the MCC Moscow give you a go. Copy that? Okay.
The work that Kelly was doing earlier involved one experiment for the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency called Marangoni, working with the video recording hardware inside that experiment, but the experiment will be operating over the crew's sleep period tonight, building one of the silicone bridges inside, and the crew members were notified that that would be happening this evening. So because it is a delicate experiment, the crew members would take care while in the area of that experiment. It is the Marangoni convection is a surface tension driven flow. It involves the liquid bridge of silicone oil that is formed into a pair of discs, and then the convection is induced by imposing a temperature difference between the discs. And due to the fluid's instability, the flow transits from laminar to oscillatory chaos and turbulence flows one by one as the driving force increases. And the principal investigators and scientists observe the flow and temperature fields in each stage and investigate the transition conditions and processes that occur during the sample run. The experiment is believed to directly contribute to high-quality crystal growth, such as oxide materials for optical applications. The outcomes will use the advanced microfluid technologies, and the results provide the knowledge to high-performance chemistry. The high-performance heat pipe with use of Marangoni convection for cooling personal computer devices and energy transport with a higher efficiency in future human space exploration. other work that Kelly has been working on board the space station for JAXA is involving a cargo vehicle that would be launched to the complex in January called the HTV-2, the second vehicle to be provided for supplies to the station by JAXA. JAXA nicknamed the H-2 transfer vehicle 2 Konotori, which means white stork, and that was a name selected through a competition that was selected as conveying an important thing, such as a baby, happiness, or other joyful things that are delivered, such as the cargo vehicle itself delivering important supplies and equipment to the International Space Station. A couple of those included our replacement parts that, for the first time, they are unpressurized components that will be stored inside a special compartment on the HTV-2 for that purpose. Includes a flex hose rotary coupler and the cargo transportation container, which is basically a box containing 5 smaller pieces of hardware. The HTV-2 flies close enough to the space station for the station residents to use the robotic arm, Canadarm2, to capture it and then berth it to the nadir port or Earth-facing port on the Harmony module. And then the hardware is removed and attached to the Japanese Expose facility, and then to the Express Logistics Carrier 4 on the station. Kelly has been preparing the station for that work in January. On Friday, he assembled the hardware command panel in the Japanese experiment module, the Kibo module. The crew can use that panel to control the approach of the HTV-2 if needed. And throughout this week, Kelly will be coordinating some further checkouts of that system with the control center in Japan. Here on the ground, preparations are underway for a new set of crew members to launch to the space station. The Soyuz rocket and its vehicle were rolled out to the launch pad at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan early this morning. We do have an update from Public Affairs Officer Rob Navius, who is there ready to support launch and provide information about the activities. We'll go ahead and air that here on NASA television now.
It's a couple of hours after sunrise here at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Soyuz TMA-20 now vertical on the launch pad behind me, the same launch pad from which Yuri Gagarin lifted off on April 12, 1961, almost 50 years ago, to begin humanity's departure from its planet. The Soyuz began its trek at 7 a.m. Baikonur time, as is the Russian tradition, lying horizontal on its railroad car. It took just over an hour and a half to reach the launch pad. It was hoisted vertically by hydraulics on that railroad car. And then once vertical, the launch platform that it sits on was rotated slightly to place the Soyuz at the proper azimuth for its launch just after 1 a.m. Baikonur time on Thursday morning. The weather forecast calls for a mix of snow and rain, freezing temperatures for launch early Thursday morning. It is bitterly cold here this morning. Brisk winds, almost unbearable wind out here at this hour, but the Soyuz will be encapsulated as the gantry arms swing around the spacecraft a short time from now to enable launch pad technicians to hook up electrical, data, and power lines for the final 2 days of preparations for its liftoff to carry Dmitry Kondratyev, Katie Coleman, and Paolo Nespoli to the International Space Station.
Alexander, what Oleg is doing right now, I don't want to bother him. Has he managed to connect? Well, he is pumping the last pail of water. I mean, the very last dregs of water. Okay, that's good. As soon as he's finished, please tell him to report it to us. Of course, we don't have much time left. Yes. About 2 pails were left. 1.5 is already off, so we didn't have canister, so we took a new container. Yes, that's what we thought. Okay.
As Rob indicated, the preparations for launch are going smoothly at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Launch is scheduled for Wednesday at 1:09 p.m. Central Time, 2:09 p.m. Eastern. It will be Thursday early morning in Kazakhstan at 1:09 a.m. That time there locally. The crew includes Soyuz Commander Dmitry Kondratyev and NASA Flight Engineer Katie Coleman and European Space Agency Flight Engineer Paolo Nespoli. There are video files throughout the week showing the crew members' preparations for launch, including one in today's segment. Also Tuesday to provide an update of their pre-launch activities, and then Wednesday the crew's launch day activities will air just before coverage of launch begins. The launch coverage begins at 12:15 p.m. Central Time. Again, for the launch at 1:09 p.m. Central. And 2 days later, the crew members will arrive at the space station with docking in the afternoon at 2:12 p.m. Central Time or 3:12 p.m. Eastern. That also will be shown here on NASA television.
Set Moscow on SG-1 for Alexander Yurievich. Go ahead. Alexander Yurievich, we remembered that we have now the regeneration of cartridge, so we cannot switch off the regime because we will have an emergency. So what we suggest, you finish working with Vostok today, and the connection connectors we will do tomorrow before the regeneration of the second cartridge.
Понятно.
Copy that.
Понятно.
Copy.
Не подумал.
So I'm sorry that we sort of kept you suspended in the, but well, it's okay. I was storing the old vacuum pump in the meantime. Okay, so you disassembled all circuit and everything put in their places, correct? Well, I put it where number 60 was lying into this housing. Behind, I will record it in the IMS and put it behind the panel 135. Copy that. Thank you.
The crew members on board the International Space Station are working for Expedition 26, and when the 3 crew members join them, that will be the continuation of Expedition 26 with 6 crew members on board. When the current crew members on board the station depart in March, that will be the switch over to Expedition 27 as Nespoli, Kondratiev, and Coleman remain on board. We do have a video that overviews those 2 particular expeditions, 26 and 27, as they're laid out for the International Space Station, that we can show here on NASA television now.
Assembly of the International Space Station is all but complete, and just as with any home, there will be some maintenance issues. But the people living more than 200 miles above the Earth are ready to spend most of their time making full utilization of the station's science capability a reality.
You know, now that we have a 6-person crew on board, we're going to try to average at least 30 hours a week of various types of science, and hopefully we'll have great results from those scientific experiments that we're able to do on board.
The primary scientific focus is to better understand how the alien environment of space affects people, in order to devise ways they can flourish during the longer missions that will be needed for future exploration.
It will be mostly biomed experiments. So when my body will be under, and my brains will be under investigation. Honestly speaking, I don't like very much these experiments, but I understand that this is a necessity to go further and further in space flights.
Along with gathering data about the state and performance of their brains and bones and hearts and other muscles, crew members are also subjects for investigations of how they interact with one another and with their flight control teams on the ground.
We have technological experiments that investigate how a small group of people can work for an extended period of time together in an enclosed space. We are also researching and studying how weightlessness affects the coordination skills and how we can restore our capabilities once we return to Earth.
While the crew members are themselves the subjects of research, they also function as laboratory assistants for dozens of experiments in other kinds of science underway throughout the station. And they're excited about that part of the work.
I have a table here that actually shows the list of all the experiments that are going to be planned for my missions. I counted them. There are more than 60 in various disciplines, human research, fluid physics, material science, radiation monitoring, biology, education, Earth observation, technology, facility operation. I mean, it's a very complex operation.
Now is the free-for-all. It is the time for somebody like me to be able to spend a lot of their day not just taking care of the space station, but actually carrying out these science experiments, which have been getting done in small pieces as we go along. But now it's time to really make some mileage and spend a lot of hours on science, and I can't wait.
In parallel with the science, these people take care of the station. Early in the year, they'll receive deliveries from each of the 3 uncrewed cargo vehicles the International Space Station partner nations have at their disposal. Ships that not only have different capacities and capabilities, but unique flight profiles.
Russian cargo vehicle Progress has a special remote control mode And if something happens differently or unscheduled, or if this vehicle has problems, so crew can take control over the vehicle and conduct this vehicle to the station in the manual mode.
Progress can carry 5,500 pounds of cargo. The European Space Agency's automated transfer vehicle has a cargo capacity of more than 16,000 pounds.
ATV cannot be controlled by the crew, so we are only monitoring the automated approach and final approach, and we can only stop it to be secure.
The Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency's H-2 transfer vehicle has a cargo capacity of more than 13,000 pounds.
This is a new type of vehicle, the free flyer vehicle, which means that it doesn't dock to the station directly, but rather it approaches the station and from the station keeping close to it, and then the operator on board of the ISS uses the robotic arm to mate it to the docking port.
The station crew gets visitors when Space Shuttle Discovery arrives on its last mission, delivering the final pressurized element of the U.S. segment of the station, the multi-purpose logistics module Leonardo, now retrofitted to be a permanent attachment on the nadir side of the Unity node.
It seems like the space station is really big, but when you need all the stuff you need to live there for 6 months, it gets pretty full, and having another module to help with stowage is critically important to improving our efficiency and just doing our, daily work on board.
Skripochka and Kondratiev are on the schedule for a pair of Russian segment spacewalks early in the year to retrieve experiment samples and perform maintenance, before Kondratiev becomes commander of Expedition 27 when Skripochka, Kelly, and Kaleri return to Earth. Cosmonauts Andrei Borisenko and Alexander Samokutyaev and NASA's Ron Garan join the crew in early April, in time to greet Space Shuttle Endeavour when it delivers another load of supplies and the groundbreaking scientific instrument called the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, which will be installed on the top side of the station's truss.
The purpose of the AMS is to actually acquire data on this, dark matter, cosmic ray, antimatter, and prove some of the theories that have been reused for the last year, but we don't have an actual proof of this. So I think this will, if we will be able to collect this data, we'll be able to really open up science and lead us maybe to other directions.
The Expedition 27 crew will be on board the station for the April 12th observances of the 50th anniversary of the first human spaceflight by Yuri Gagarin and the 30th anniversary of the first space shuttle flight, plus the May 5th observance of the 50th anniversary of the first American spaceflight by Alan Shepard.
First flight of Yuri Gagarin just opened the space era, and the shuttle flight was also a significant event at that time.
We have been able in the last 50 years to really progress from a little suborbital flight. It's extremely important, but if you look for today's standard, was it's relatively small, minor thing, to being able to be on orbit for 6 months and planning to go to space.
I think anniversaries are special because it makes us stop and think about our perspective and realize that we've come a long way, and that some of the roads ahead that might look difficult or daunting are roads that we should proceed because we can make these things happen.
Kondratiev, Nespoli, and Coleman head home in May to wrap up a tour of duty devoted to getting science operations running all out and putting the International Space Station on a footing to fulfill its potential as a research laboratory on orbit.
I'd like to see more experiments on both sides, and I'd like to see the results of those experiments on the ground. That's the most important thing for me, to see that what we do on the station helps people on the ground. So that's the most important.
This is Mission Control Houston, now back inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. That was a video overviewing the Expedition 26 and 27 missions aboard the space station. Expedition 26 is underway with NASA astronaut Scott Kelly commanding the space station, and cosmonauts Alexander Kaleri and Oleg Skripochka serving as the flight engineers aboard. They will be joined by 3 other crew members to make up a complete crew of 6 later this week. On Wednesday afternoon Central Time, 3 crew members are to launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, including in this view European Space Agency astronaut Paulo Nespoli on the left, cosmonaut Dmitry Kondratyev in the center, and NASA astronaut Katie Coleman on the right. They'll then catch up and dock to the space station on Friday to join the crew members aboard.
Moscow Station, SG-1.
Отвечаем, ВСГ-1.
Go ahead.
Доктор, проводите обратно.
Inaudible.
Принято, Олег, можно приступать.
Copy, Oleg. You're go to proceed.
Хорошо, принято.
Okay, copy.
We do have more video that has been showing the launch preparations and activities at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan that we can air here on NASA television now.
I see that you're in a very good mood. And it's going to take about 2 hours. We had some difficulties with closing the hatch, but they have been resolved. Thank you.
Дим, секундочку. Дмитрию.
Павло. Ну что, Павло, посмотрел свой корабль?
Did you take a look at your vehicle? Yes, everything looks great. Yes, it's a very nice toy. I have one on the ISS as well. This is my second one, and I like it a lot.
Why? It's your vehicle. Stay there. Just leave it here for the next 3 nights.
We would like to wish you good luck and to thank you for this wonderful vehicle that you had built. We hope that it's going to perform as it was designed to perform. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you for our spacecraft.
Thank you. I'm sure that this vehicle will bring you luck. It will provide for all the necessary safety and will bring you to the ISS. But the main thing I would like to wish you is health, happiness, and good luck. We liked the condition of the vehicle. We have no negative comments. Everything looks prepared and ready to go. We would like to thank all the specialists that work on preparing the vehicle.
Экскурс именно в историю нашего космодрома. Поэтому я задержался при этом приеме. В этом магазине каникул, эту галерею всю поместили. Именно отслеживают все наши такие вот события. В знаменование этого события флаг Советского Союза побывал на шаттле после возвращения на нашем музее. Мы летели с космодрома Байконур.
When you finish, look at that, please.
Thank you. People there.
What do you think about this traditional? I feel very lucky to be part of this tradition. Everyone who signs here has a common dream and a common goal, and I'm very excited about going to station to see what I can do to make our dream come true.
What is your story? What is your story in the pocket?
Very good. Could you see one? This is my son's tiger, and it goes everywhere with me. But I had to target very early for space, so I have one already in space on launch day.
Good luck. The ball, look at that, please.
He needs to go to school and learn how to write his name. That in what? He needs to go to school and learn how to write his name. He doesn't know how to write yet. So we'll work on him in space.
Все, я прошу вас теперь большой зал.
is Mission Control Houston continuing to watch video recorded at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan in preparation for the launch of the Soyuz vehicle Wednesday afternoon Central Time, Thursday morning in Kazakhstan. The vehicles rolled out to the launch pad early this morning at 7 a.m. In Baikonur and was on the pad by 8:45 a.m. Ready to go vertical, which was completed by about 9:30 a.m.
Аппаратуру тоже ниже. Два шага назад. Чуть ниже, ниже. Я сейчас сюда встану, и вы ничего не снимете. Я свечу всем, мне фонарь. Леха. Сейчас я должен это заснять. Я же веду свой сюжет.
Zone 2 for CSACP.
Go.
Al, all the data is saved in the procedure.
Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston with an update of the activities on board the International Space Station. The mission is Expedition 26 with 3 crew members aboard the complex working throughout the day. That includes Commander NASA astronaut Scott Kelly and flight engineers cosmonauts Alexander Kaleri and Oleg Skripochka. The crew members are working on various maintenance activities and science experiments today. Kelly has been focusing some of his time on preparations for work with efforts by the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, including the arrival of a cargo vehicle in January.
Will not be available.
The H2.
Okay, no problem.
H2 Transfer Vehicle 2, or Konotori as it's nicknamed, is due to launch to the space station on January 20th from Tanegashima in Japan to deliver supplies to this space station. Kelly has been installing panels and equipment inside the Japanese experiment module in preparation for that work, and will be going through some checkouts of that system this week in coordination with the control center in Japan. He's also set up and worked on some of the video equipment in an experiment for JAXA called Marangoni, which is studying convection and surface tension-driven flows that could provide information to high-performance heat pipe, which are used in cooling personal computer devices and energy transport that could be done with a higher efficiency in future human space exploration activities. The cosmonauts on board the station also working on some maintenance activities in the Russian segment of the complex and doing some inspections. Skripochka specifically spent some time filling some water containers from the supplies that were delivered by the Progress cargo vehicle, while Kaleri has been troubleshooting the Vozduk system, which removes carbon dioxide from the cabin air. That had a failure this weekend, and Kaleri is going through some checkouts to help Mission Control in Moscow determine which component exactly caused that system to shut down. In the meantime, the cabin air is scrubbed by the carbon dioxide removal assembly, the systems inside the U.S. segment of the station, and maintaining the breathing air. Here on the ground, preparations are underway for launches to the space station. First, the Soyuz launch, which will deliver 3 new crew members to the complex. That includes Soyuz Commander Dmitry Kondratyev and NASA flight engineer Katie Coleman and European Space Agency flight engineer Paolo Nespoli. They are due to launch to the station Wednesday afternoon Central Time. It will be 1:09 p.m. Central Time. It will be 1:09 in the morning, Thursday morning, at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. Then they will link up with the station on Friday Docking is scheduled for 2:12 p.m. Central Time. The Soyuz vehicle was rolled out to the launch pad this morning and raised to the vertical position and is ready to support that launch. Crews here in the United States are also preparing for the next launch of the Space Shuttle Discovery for the STS-133 mission. Discovery's next launch opportunity is no earlier than February 3rd. And an instrumented test of Space Shuttle Discovery's external fuel tank now will be conducted no earlier than Friday, December 17th, because wind and cold conditions at the Kennedy Space Center prevented technicians from completing preparations for the test. The forecast for the next several days calls for continuing cold conditions at the launch pad, but technicians worked through the weekend to place dozens of sensors on the tank's ribbed inner tank region, so the engineers can analyze the temperature and tank movement as the tank is filled with cryogenic propellants during that test. All the strain gauges have been attached in the inner tank region near the top of the external tank where the stringers are located. And once remaining temperature sensors are in place and foam insulation has been reapplied, the tank will be filled with about 535,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen to help verify repairs associated with cracks on the tops of 2 of those stringers. Coming up in just a few moments, today's video file will be airing on NASA television. It includes the video of preparations at the Baikonur Cosmodrome for the launch of the Soyuz vehicle. Our ISS update will resume Tuesday morning as usual at 10 a.m. Central Time. Included in that will be an in-flight interview event with NASA astronaut Scott Kelly and CNN Radio and KRIV TV here in Houston at 10:45 a.m. Central Time. Until Tuesday, this is Mission Control Houston.